Hello and welcome back, everyone. Scootsy16 here with another episode of the Shuffle Draft Showdown. And it's been a minute. I bet you wondering if I forgot about this. And yeah, I kind of have. Was doing a lot of work with the Super Mega World Series, which hopefully everyone is enjoying. And I was also holding off on this because for such a long time I was wondering how am I going to execute this, and I came up with an idea. Last time out, I did mention that I wanted to do a tournament just to see of these four teams who would be the most successful when faced off against each other. That's what we're going to be seeing here, but that's not the only thing we're going to be seeing because the other thing that I said is I wanted to come up with some other really fun ideas, and some of those may be a little limited to what I'm capable of. And so we're going to start a new series starting today. We're going to run this tournament simulation to see which team comes out on top. I think we all know what team will be the winner here. And then I'm going to do a shuffle draft for a new series we're going to start watching together. So similar to my other series that you've been watching, you see me commentate over games. This time we're going to run a season with a shuffle draft showdown, and the challenge will be actually, I'll reveal that in a minute. So you're going to have to stick around to figure out what's going to happen after this tournament ends. I've changed some of the settings here. So we'll do 9 innings. We'll do 7 games per series. We'll do 4 teams, of course. We'll do the auto runner. I don't care. Actually, we'll turn it off. And of course, no shuffle draft because we've already done that for these 4 teams. The teams that you see here, the number 1 team is the speed Heaters. This was the team we drafted solely based on speed and velocity, and they ended up having the best record. They made the playoffs, the only one of these 4 teams that made the playoffs, but they couldn't do anything once they got there. Then we have the ladies. The ladies were all women that we drafted here. The ladies' night, if you recall, they did okay. They went 78 and 84, I believe, if I'm going off of memory here. And they did decently well. However, they did not make the playoffs, just like every one of these other teams. But it was just women that we drafted. There was no other requirements there other than them being a woman. So then we had the defenders. And as you can see, this team was focused on their defense. This team did slightly worse than the ladies, and they did not make the playoffs either. And lastly, we had the boomers. The boomers were just based on just trying to get the oldest players possible in this draft, and that is why we see the boomers there. Actually, it's really interesting. Why did I choose my customized team for the Moonstars, unless that's their custom logo? I think I created that, though. I can't remember. And then I just used the standard logos for all these other ones. Anyways, I've set the settings so that I have control over all of the teams. So you'll see that. Oh, of course, I'm glad I checked that because that just changed. And we are going to start the tournament. So I am going to just simulate through this. And like I said before, I didn't really know how I was going to execute this because I was worried there was going to be too much... it wasn't going to take very long to get through this, and I didn't want a really short episode. So I did realize that I'm going to have to simulate each game individually here. I should have set it to no control. So the ladies beat the defenders in game 1. Boomers and speeds. And the speed team will come out on top against the boomers, 6-1 there. Next, we'll see Yolanda Cooper and Joffrey Rockman face off against each other here. And Wide Loads take the lead, and they hold on to win 4-3. So even up the series there. Back to the boomers and the speed. I am just going to quick sim through these because I'm curious just to see how it all plays out. The boomers fight back, and they get a victory there, tying the series. So both series tied up 1 apiece. The ladies here will take a huge lead and win 11-0. So they just beat up on the defenders. Speed and Boomers heading to the Boomers home park. And the Heaters will get the win there. They take the lead 2-1. Ladies trying to extend the lead. And the Wide Loads come out on top there, 8-1. So tied the series 2 apiece. Hopping back and forth here. Heaters will win again. They take the lead in the series 3-1. So another win here will give them the advance into the championship between these 4 teams. Ladies and defenders for game 5. Wide Loads take an early lead, and they'll hold on 8-0. So this one's been going back and forth. Heaters looking to close things out. And although they fought back, the Boomers did not have enough energy to hold off the speed team, the Speed Demons, and they ended up losing. Only won one game in that 7-game series. 4-1 is the series victory for the Speed Demons there. Defenders and the ladies going to game 6 here. See if the wide loads can hold on, and it looks like it's going to go to game 7. The ladies fight back and win late in that one. So game 7 between these two teams. Wide loads take the early lead. They extend the lead, and they'll hold on. So the Defenders versus Speed Demons, and both have very great speed. But let's see who can come out on top. Starting with game 1. And Wide Loads will win the first game of the series. So the Defenders taking the early lead. Does defense win championships when it comes down to these two teams? Wide Loads with another victory, 8-5 this time. Let's see if they can take a 3-0 lead. Going for the sweep. Nope, the Heaters fight back. The Speed Demons will get a win here, 3-1. Series lead for the Defenders, 2-1. And heading to game 4. The Wide Loads fight back, and they win late, 5-3. So they're one game away from a championship, and we might see defense winning championships. I think Speed Demons, they fight to win that one. They hold off the series drop here just at least one more game. So we go to game 6 in the tournament finals. Speed versus defense. Speed fights back. Defense wins championships, and they win in 6 games. 8-5 in that last game. The Defenders end up beating the Speed Demons in 6 games to win the championship in this small 4-team tournament. So taking a look at some of the league leaders here, Dick Lucas with a good start here. Shirley Indiere also on that list here at number 2. Steamboat Wissell at number 3. Jess Fowle, Buttons Bunnerson, great outpour for both of those players. Ben Blamo, we see Yolanda Cooper and Anita Bean showing up for the ladies, and you see no boomers showing up on this list. Speaking at some of these numbers here, Jess Fowle had a really great tournament as she led in OPS and slugging as well. See, she had the most hits and extra base hits. Blamo kind of trailing right behind her there. Buttons with 7 stolen bases, so using that speed against the Speed Demons. Pitching-wise, Dick Lucas, Rob Hurlington, Smack Avery here. We see a lot of defenders at the top of these lists, and then you see Whip and OBA. Trey Mondo, really good on him. Good pitching performance from the Speed Demon pitcher. Strikeouts goes to Dick Lucas with 27, Warren Yount with 20. We see Yolanda and Anita Bean really pitched well for the ladies, but couldn't do enough to get them into the next round against the Speed Demons. So that is how this tournament ends. So kind of the end of that saga, the 4 teams that we saw there facing off against each other. And it was really interesting to see the Defenders take on and defeat the Speed Demons in that 4-team tournament. So where do we go next? Well, I am going to do a shuffle draft. And I am going to use the Super Mega League. And let's draft a copy of this league. All right. And let's name this league I'm going to get this in here. Oopsie. Push the wrong button. Bear with me for just a moment. All right, so it's going to be the secondary position. I guess I'll just do secondary positions. Because what I'm going to do is draft a team where no offensive player can play their primary position. So I have to keep that in mind for everyone that I am drafting and make sure that I can never have a player that starts at their primary position. Pitchers, we won't be worrying about. We'll draft them like normal, but we will have all secondary positions for offense. So that means if they're a third baseman and shortstop, they can only play shortstop. An infielder would be a lot more valuable as a secondary position because then they'll have more spots to play. But we also have to think about that defense playing a secondary position. So utility players will be very valuable. All right, so who will we choose here? Let's see. You know what I'm thinking? And I'm just going to do a quick little peek through here to double check, but I think I know who we're going to use as our primary team. We are going to go with the Wild Pigs because this idea is wild, right? So that's what we're going to do here. We're going to select our team. We're going to start the draft. And again, we will be going based on secondary position alone. So, for example, Mario Mustachio, very interesting option here in the first round. He would only be able to play shortstop. So, do we draft him or do we start with a guy like Manny Kays, who is a very good starting pitcher? He'd be a great ace for our staff. Um, I think we can't pass up on a good defensive player like this right now, especially with that stimulated trait kicking in from time to time. That'll be really helpful for us. This is a tough call because I really like Manny Kays, and I think he'd be really good for us. I'm also passing on Shady because I don't think that she's worth it between these three players. So Mario, I guess we could also go with Harry Backman because he'd play first base, which is fine for with his poor arm, but I don't think he's worth it here in the first round. I think I'm going to go Mario Mustachio. I think we take a good defender like this right out of the gate as a way to kind of ensure ourselves at shortstop. It's going to be a lot of us trying to hold ourselves accountable here, so keeping track of everything will be tough. All right, so I'm kind of glad we went the other route here because now we have a guy like Ace Von Asen that we can draft as our ace, and that would make me feel a lot better. We also have Morton Stanberg, which is always a good option. He'd be great in either center or in right field. He can't play left, and having cannon arm would be huge for him. He's a good hitter as well, but I think we can't pass up on a great pitcher like Ace Von Asen. This is a season that we're going to be doing, so we don't have to worry about like age for these players, so no regression will occur. I'm going to keep an eye out for Joseph Trunk later because I actually always like the idea of putting him in left field instead of at first base, but we can't justify drafting him right now. We'll have to pass on guys like Sting McGee and Mashed Taters and Jeb Jumps because they don't have a secondary position, so we could not let them play. So I'm going to go Ace Von Asen here. So he's going to be our starting pitcher, our ace of the staff. Really happy about that. Go with a guy like Jerry Caps as our secondary second starting pitcher. Slapper Glute, I do not want behind the plate. That'd be the only position he could play. Razzie Dazzler, great fielder, has tough out, weak arm, so we might put her in left field for the primary part of this season. Wouldn't necessarily want her in right, but man, she'd be a good left fielder. I think she's a good bat in the lineup as well. Grunt Manley is a good option here, but I'm not a huge fan of having him at third base. He'd be okay. But between these two, and I guess RBI Hero, it's tempting. I think I'm going to go Razzie Dazzler. I don't know. This might be just my bias, but I'm a big Razzie Dazzler fan. Plus 93 fielding, having in a secondary position would hold up really well. So go Razzie. She'll be our left fielder, I believe. That's my plan. Next, we'll have Andre Candela. He's a weak arm, but could he be our first baseman? That's a good option over there. I think that's something we take into consideration. The other options include Max Texas with crossed up. I hate that trait so much, and I would avoid it at all costs. Can't go Snag. Could go to Yanagi High-Eye, but I don't like K Neglector. I don't want Hercules behind the plate. He's not that strong of a arm. Same with Rod. Milo Stewart would be a good second baseman. Would have I don't know what tier we'll have Rally Starter at. But I think he is not well-rounded enough. And then we have Durbin Holmes. What does Andre have? Sprinter and consistent. As our he's got flexibility, but I'd primarily have him at first base. Is he worth having as our first baseman? I think we could go a different route with him. I think I'm going to go Durbin Holmes just to reinforce the... you know what? I'm going to go Max Texas here. Lefty pitcher. He's 37, but we don't care about age, and he's a good relief pitcher. I think that's something we need to keep in mind. So I don't know. This is probably my most controversial pick so far. We're going to go Max Texas. All right, Guns Jackman at second base, definitely a better place for him versus him at shortstop. I think we all already see what we're going to do here. Teresa Ketchum would be a good first base option. She can't play catcher. Hieronymus Jackson in right field, I'm not a fan of. Ice Vayner, Hog Porker. Yeah, no, we all know. I'm going to go Hera Waglium. She is one of the ultimate catching options behind the plate. So she would be our primary catcher, and you got to be so lucky to have her drop to you in a shuffle draft, let alone have her drop in this secondary position challenge that we're doing here. So Hera, good on the team. Thank you. All right. That made me feel a lot better as some of the other options that I was thinking about earlier. All right, so Maximo Primo, do we go with a closer? I think that's a pretty solid option, and getting an A in the 6th round is a huge get. Kasha Emmon at second base. She's a really good player, and that weak arm does struggle at shortstop. 67 fielding gets me a little concerned, though. Kendra Kerr is a good relief pitcher. Elroy Action does not play shortstop well. JYS, I don't know if I like him at first. Robin and right doesn't make sense. Batch Wilson would be okay in right field. And Pompduchy, decent at third base, but I don't like the low contact. So, you know what? We have Razzie, Hera, and Mario Mustachio. Would have Kasha Emmon at second base. I think I'm going to go Maximo Primo, having the rally stopper trait. It's currently at tier 2. Might get it up to tier 3. 3-pitch closer. I think you can't pass that up in the 6th round. This is not something I typically do. I usually avoid closers, but Maximo, very unique in this situation. So our bullpen is looking really, really solid right now. All right, so now we go to guys like Gina Torrens at shortstop. I'm going to pass. I think Knox Oxen, Soxen, and left would normally be really intriguing, but that's where we're going to have Razzie Dazzler. It'd be nice if he was a right fielder as a secondary position. I'd be a lot more interested there. Nice to have a utility guy like Ralph Blue, but not a good player, not a good talent there. And then we have, of course, Super Samson. I would hope he would drop a little bit further and we can pick him up later because he would be amazing as a defender in either of the corner outfield spots. But I can't justify drafting him. I think we still need to make sure we're building up the starting rotation. Getting a B+ here is important, so I'm going to go with Beavis Ortiz as our number 2 starter in the rotation. We're going to have to start making some tough decisions here very soon. All right, so you have guys like Log Freely would be our right fielder or our center fielder. We still need a center fielder and a right fielder. He's too slow for center. Okay in right field, in my opinion. Testy, I don't like his secondary fielding at second base. Cheyenne, not strong enough at third. Herbert Hackman, weak defender. Preston Adonimus, not interested. And then we have Dilly Daller. Should be a really solid second baseman, and while she's slow, I don't necessarily care about that. Her at second base, I like that. She's a decent hitter. It'd come down to her or Log Freely in right field. And I think I like Dilly Daller at second base. I not very often she gets some appreciation, but I'm going to give her some here. I think she'll hold up really well over there. And a really strong arm up the middle. So I think that'll be helpful to try and avoid some double plays. All right, John Renero at second, going to pass. Kobe Kingman in right, no. Dion Bass would be decent at shortstop. We're at decent territory is all we have left for the most part. We have Filet Jones in right, no. Lola Knops, Alberto Roberto, and then Dern Wonderfloss. Or Dern Wonderfloss. This is not a good setup here. Dion. Good speed, base rounder trait. Good contact. Shortstop with a good arm. I could deal with that. I don't like any of those starters to bring in. I guess maybe Alberto Roberto wouldn't be bad, but I hate having a B minus already. I might look for a B starter popping up at the top row in the next round or something. I think I'm going to go D on base as our shortstop. So there we go. All right, who do we got next? Fran Japani. I guess that's what I asked for was a B starter. Kimmy Smoke at first base. Not that impressive. Kent Ratherswell. We have Sign Blinder. And we have Wagyu Takobi. We have Ava Blanc here. Would be first base or out or left and center. Easy target. Never really used her. I think the contact's a little lower than I'd like as a starter. Fran Japani. 5-pitch starter as a B, third in our rotation. Elite 2-seam fastball. I think I can get behind that. We do need to get some scholarly pitchers in here because we need to boost some of those scholarly pitches. So let's go ahead and bring in Fran Japani just to save our starting rotation a bit there. All right, now what? Scooter at third? No, thank you. Rolf Borgnar could play right field. Not a bad option, but I hate RBI 0. Tara Leonaire at first? No. Norton Pickle, we can't go with. Shirley Indiere, Rocket Ramon. Charles Dangerfield as a defensive option in the outfield. Good right fielder, but a weak bat. And then Steve Monstour at first base. Rolf Borgnar as our right fielder. Better than Churl, I think. Better arm here, but weaker bat. So I'm going to go with Rolf. He's going to be our starting right fielder. I'm not my most exciting pick, but I think it's a fine one. We definitely need to reinforce the bullpen a little bit more. Let me just do a quick little check back in. Ooh, look at that. Ooh, we have some good options. Holy moly. All right. I'm going to do a quick view of the roster here. So we have Dion will be our starting shortstop. We have... Shit, I forgot about Mario Mustachio. Oh, no. Oh, my God, I made a mistake. You were probably screaming at me, and I totally just lost sight of it. So Dilly Daller. So now we have Dion on the bench as a shortstop option. Or our starting shortstop and Mario could be... No, I think we have to keep Mario in the lineup. Maybe our DH here. Shit. Dilly Daller at second base, Borgnar in right, Razzie in left, and our starting catcher is Hera O'Wugliams. We have 3 starting pitchers. We have 2 relief pitchers, so we definitely need to reinforce there. I'm glad I pulled up to look at that because I completely missed that. Oh my, I'm so mad at myself. All right, so a couple of interesting options here. Milo Stewart, but we already have our second baseman. Yoink Saxon in... we'd put him in right. We'd put Rolf in center at that point. Rolf's a little too slow for center, in my opinion. So I think being able to go with Ryder McBride, with Rally Stopper and Clutch, which we're almost at Tier 3 in Spirited, it's kind of where I like to prefer to lean. I think he'd be a really great pitcher in the bullpen and help reinforce that bullpen a little bit more. So we're going to go with Ryder McBride as our pick here in the 12th round. I'm so mad at myself. All right, tough lift. Playing first base would be great, actually. Should we draft Annabella Stokes to play shortstop? I'm just kidding. Interesting option would be Jess Fowl at third. Only thing I don't like is how low her contact is, which is very scary. Looking at this group here, I think Tough Lift is the easiest option to select. We still need a primary center fielder right now, but having Tough Lift at first base, I feel really confident about. He doesn't need to be fast, good hitter, really great fielding that he can take that hit, and then that arm will help out from time to time when necessary. So, yeah, let's do Tough Lift at first base. I'm happy with that. All right. So we've, let's see, Sponge Dryden in right field, not a fan of that. We could bring in a player like, Lackey Luster, I don't like as our secondary catcher. Batch Wilson as an extra outfielder, not bad. It would get us to Tier 3 Spirited. Rachel Rhubarb as a lefty starter, a long reliever. I'm sorry, lefty long reliever in the bullpen. Bay Paul as our fourth starter. I don't think we need to worry about that just yet. I think having Batch Wilson as an extra outfielder. So we have Rolf playing potentially center field. I would have Batch on the bench. Razzie in left. Rolf in right. Rolf can play center, and that would be our starting outfield. Rolf in center, Batch in right, Razzie in left. We'll look at it. We can play with it a little bit. So Batch will be brought in. He was the best of those options there. Evan Chukov in right field. Interesting. Rob Glover could be our third baseman. Do we have a first baseman yet? Yeah, tough lift. We don't have a third baseman yet, so it could be Rob Glover. He could also play second if necessary, if Dilly's having a bad day, and he could play. Actually, he'd be better off at second base, but Dilly is there right now. Zoom at short, no. Seb behind the plate, no. Nori Miyoshi. I need a faster center fielder option. I like Evan Chukov a lot, but he's more of like that. You like him for development. He wouldn't be our starting right fielder. I think Rob Glover with his utility is going to be really helpful for us, so I'm going to bring him in. I wish his arm was a little bit stronger, but we'll take it. We can handle him at third base. There's a lot worse options we could go with there. All right, so can't go Tugboat. Could go Lucy. Not liking her low accuracy, but we might not have many options left. Turbo at short, nope. Duder at third base with Noodle Arm, Ludabaziz. What a crazy name. Lana Rhymes, Bubba Blastman couldn't play the field at all, and then Hiro Masano a choker, which isn't as bad for a starter. There could be worse options. He's got 69 accuracy, but not much action on his pitches. Not a good choice here. He's got 5 pitches. Let's go with Hiro Masano as our fourth starter. We could do a lot worse, especially in this round here. So let's go Hiro. Oh, this is starting to look rough. Juanita can only play left field. She's got cannon arm. That is intriguing, but she'd be a bench option. Pedro Nixon, no. So this is looking like it has to be a relief pitcher option. Hander Ospecialo. Lefty specialist. Yeah, let's bring in another lefty into the pitching staff here. Man, we might not get... We need to get some scholarly players in here. Lionel Martinez. Ooh, him on the bench? .45 and 56. She's a better hitter. And he's really slow in left field. But he'll help us get to the tier 3 competitive, which we want to get to as well. Yeah, I think I'm going to go Lionel Martinez here. Man, this is starting to get ugly, folks. Do we have a starting lineup yet? Let me look. We're still missing like a solid center fielder. Rolf right now is penciled in as our center fielder. Could be worse. Could be better. Well, let's see. Do we have Tough Lift at first? We have Dilly at second. We have Mario at shortstop. And we have Rob Glover at third base as our options, as our infield right now. Okay, could be worse. Walker Runs as a utility infielder would be nice, but he's a really bad fielder. Junior Young Jr. as a catcher backup could be worse. Biff Noggins a little bit better in that realm. Sign Blinder. I actually don't mind him as a tier 3 rally stopper. And let's see. Our other options would be Huck and Duck, which I don't like at all. And we still aren't getting any scholarly players. So Sign Blinder, I guess we only have 3 scholarly traits right now, but it's for 2 of our starters. And then Max Texas with that crossed up trait would be miserable. But we're almost to the point where we might just go leaning into the tier 3 composed traits. Discipline traits. Hera with tier 3 off speed hitter would be nice. I'm going to go Sign Blinder here. Best option. Walker Rungs ones would be interesting if we were developing a team, but I'm going to call it there. Gia, I don't like. Wow, this option looks rough. We go Jeffrey Jenkins here. Elite slider. We'd get our long reliever. 4-seam, 2-seam slider. Weakest pitcher in our bullpen by far. But there's really not many other options unless we wanted to bring in Gia Axelson, which I do not. She wouldn't be good in either of her secondary positions or as a bench bat, really. Whopper could be a bench bat, but we're at tier 2 with the competitive, so it's not going to be as impactful if he went tier 3 with the tough out trait. So I'm going to go Jeffrey Jenkins here, and our pitching staff is completely filled out now. So now we have Gabby Ganez as a backup second catcher. We have Stracy Wickers could be a first baseman. Rory Crowds could be at first base. That could be decent, and that would help us get closer to tier 3 discipline, which would help us with that inside pitch trait. He'd get a lot better. Ooh, Maggie Rags. Maggie Rags is a utility infielder and outfielder with the utility trait and gets us closer to tier 2 scholarly, I think is the route we have to go here. You can't really find many of these players out there, so I think we have to bring her in. But that's a good get there in the 20th round. All right, so Benny Balmer, Javier Cortez, Rocky Backstop. I think Benny Balmer is the easy choice here because he could play center and right. He is a good fielder. He's got a good arm, and he has tier 3 clutch, which means that everything can get a lot better. Even his fielding can dip a little. His speed, or when it dips in a secondary position, gets better with clutch, and his speed gets better with clutch. That can get up to 20 in all stats. So getting 78 speed, 60 contact, 52 power. Yeah, Benny Balmer is going to be our backup outfielder in center and in right. All right, last choice here. We go with a 5th starter just to get us up to the tier 3 or tier 2 scholarly. I can't really do that. Marla Moore, which they're making us go with an extra catcher here. We don't even have a second catcher in this lineup, do we? Hera will never get a chance to take a day off. Shoot. We might have a problem on our hands, folks. Cozy can be a decent first baseman with bad ball hitter. Yeah, this isn't good. You know, I've made some edits in the past. I don't know if you're willing to let me, but I would. Let's do this. Let's finish this draft. Cozy Spooner gets brought in. Gosh, I'm feeling a little bit disappointed. Let's customize the league and let's see who's in the free agent pool with a secondary position of catcher. 2, Junior Young Jr. or Kenna Corn. I mean, Kenna Corn would be really nice. If you would allow me, what I would want to do would be to take Cozy Spooner and swap with Kenna Corn. You know what? I'm not going to reward myself for making this mistake. So if I was going to bring in that secondary catcher, I'm going to go with JYJ. He's a better power hitter, but he's not a good contact hitter, and he's a weak catcher. So it would not be ideal having him in the lineup. Even though he's 19, it doesn't matter because he won't develop. So I'm going to go this route. It's not helping me in chemistry. I'm only doing this so that we can make this realistically possible. And it's already kind of me busting the system. So I want to make this something we can actually do. So you can roast me in the comments if you want to. I should have maybe went with a different player that could catch as a backup option, but I didn't. So we're going to go with this replacement here. So now we have JYJ on the team. And now what we're going to do is we're going to start a new season. And we are going to be the Wild Pigs. We're going to set it to 16 games. Ooh, you can do a 2-game regular season? What? Interesting. We'll do 16. 6 innings like I typically do. We'll no extra runner there. We'll do the 8 playoff teams, 4 from each side. We'll do 5-game playoff series and no shuffle draft, and we'll start the season. All right, so here's what is going to happen. We're going to watch the games for the 16-game season, and we are going to set the lineup every single time to make sure it sticks, so that we'll always, at the very least, start the game with players in a secondary position. That will be the requirement of this shuffle draft showdown to see if our team can hold up. So to show you what the suggested lineup would look like, we're going to have Rolf Borgnar swap to center field. We're going to have Mario Mustachio swap to short. We will have Dilly Daller swap to second base. We're going to have Razzie Dazzler be in left field. We're going to have Batch Wilson be our right fielder. Rob Glover at third. We'll have Hera at catcher. Tough Lift at first base. And Leonel Martinez will not be our DH. Instead, that will be D on base. All right, so this is our starting lineup. Let me put them in the right batting order here. We're going to lead off with Dion. Let's put Rob Glover at number 2. I want Mario Mustachio as our big number 3. Batch Wilson number 4. No, sorry. Razzie Dazzler number 4. We'll put Tough Lift at 5. Dilly Daller at 6. Then Batch, Rolf, and Hera will round out the starting rotation here, or starting lineup here for Ace Von Asen. So that's what the team's going to look like. Next time out, we will head out to the field and watch this game, and we will watch every game of the season. I'm going to try something different here. Honestly, the reason why we're going to watch them is because we want to set those lineups and help them to stick. I also want to kind of see how this plays out in reality, as I've had a dream of, or not a dream, but like I've been thinking about this idea for a very long time, and I've been really hopeful to see what it would look like. So I hope you're excited. Give me your feedback. What do you think of this team? I think we missed some good opportunities here. I think this team could have been a lot better had we rolled some different players, but I think we're okay. I think our pitching and our starting and relief pitching is okay. I think our outfield is decent. I think we're a little slow in center, and I think that our hitting is a bit weak, but we set out to do what we wanted to do. We have tier 3 spirited. We built up those spirited traits. I think that's going to look really good. Dive Wizard on Mario at short would be really nice. Benny with tier 3 clutch will be nice at late games. And then look at that bottom of that bullpen there. Just some really great rally stoppers, and clutch on Ryder McBride will be really nice. This is going to scare me. Our best pitcher has tier 3 crossed up, which is a 6% chance that a pitch will get crossed up with the catcher. That's not great. I think our luckiest role was having Hera Williams get drafted to be our primary catcher, And then again, apologies, but had to be done. Giving ourselves a backup catcher. We needed that. I didn't want to have Tough Lift have to go behind the plate because that's not fair. And that's where we're left off. So let me know what you think. I am hopeful that this was a wild idea. The wild pigs will be taking off here in the next episode out. I'll probably try and do these a little bit more frequently than I was once a month. But let me know what you think down below in the comments. If you like this content, if you're curious and you want to watch more, I have 4 other shuffle drafts in this playlist that you can check out. I have different series running right now with Chemlock League, which is a challenge where I stick to a chemistry structure, and that will never be able to change while I am the owner of that team. And you also will see the Super Mega World Series, which is really fun, and that is running right now as of this video being posted. So watch the rest of the content, subscribe if you like it, give me your feedback if you have any other ideas for something else you'd like to see, and next time out, we will see what the secondary position challenge will look like with this team in tow. So thank you so much. We'll talk to y'all later. Bye, everyone.